So I suppose one of the things I wanted to ask was, is there any like changes that stick out in your mind from what you've seen growing up, you know, maybe in regards to when the town was like bypassed, how that maybe like majorly changed things? Or
Well, of course, I've seen huge changes in my time since I was born here in this house on the 26th of March 1941. I saw the first battery radio come to the house, saw electricity come to the house, running water. We walked 4 miles to a country school over at Drumageenan, and we walked home in the evening. And when you came home in the evening, there was plenty of work to be done. It wasn't just you sat down in luxury. There were no luxuries in those days. There were very few cars on the road. The main transport for country people were ponies and traps. And when we would have funerals coming here to Dungar over the years, the hearse would be, and behind that would be 20, 30, 40 men on bicycles. There might be 1 or 2 motor cars, and the rest of that were horse and traps, like, you know. So after leaving the national school, I went to the local vocational school where I did 3 years. After that, I went to serve my time to drapery with a shop that doesn't exist anymore, Hartness, down in Rosemary. And believe it or not, it was a long apprenticeship. I spent 32 years there.
wow.
And at the end of that, I left and I came up to run a shop in the main street for a fella who opened up kind of shortly before that, and he wanted someone to run it, and so I run it. Well, to conclude on that, I spent 17 years then in the main street, and I retired at 65, having spent 48 and a half years behind a counter, and I was beginning to feel I had enough of it, like, you know, it was time to get out. But then I had this place here to come back. My father came here in 1938, and he was caretaker here until he died suddenly in 1982. And I became caretaker after that, and I combined that with running the shop and that. But I did want to hold on to it, so as I would have something to fall back on when I left the shop, something to keep me occupied and that. So I'm still here, and will be here till the end of the road now by the looks of the things. I'm always saying that I'm someone that was born in a cemetery, have lived my full life in a cemetery, and I'm going to die and be buried in that cemetery, like, you know. And I think my epitaph should be, he didn't go very far.
Gone are the days of that stuff now. It's all packed.
Yeah.
Everything's in a packing now.
Yeah, you unpack it yourself.
You just put things in packed, that's what it is. Yeah, my first husband wrote the date on things. That's why, was it that I showed you? See the date on that?
76, yeah.
And that's there all those years.
That's amazing. It's nice to have like dates on stuff so you know how old it is.
And I came here in 1969.
Yeah, it's 20 years before I was born.
I was selling cakes in Dublin.
Wow.
I was at Bewley's counter.
It's so cool. Was that like a shop or was that?
Oh yeah, it was a shop, Bewley's.
So cool.
They had 3 shops, but they've only one in Grafton Street now. But they're not Bewley's anymore. The trade is Bewley's, but they're Campbell.
And how did you end up here?
Well, I married a man down here in this shop down here.
And then you started working, yeah?
Oh, after we were 4 years married, John died. And then I had pig troughs, baler twine, farrow and crates, gates, barbed wire, all heavy hardware. And I loaded it up for people, the baler twine and all, and kept going. Forks, shovels, all the heavy stuff.
And that's really cool.
And pig troughs and all, which I loved it. I wheeled brickers down the street to an old man down there in Rosemary Street. He was, he always got the brickers from John. and I wheeled down the street to him, and another little lady around the corner.
Strong, independent woman. You do it all on your own.
Ah, sure. You get used to it.
Mm.
Get used to it and you like it.
Amazing. So you've been here for quite a while.
50 years.
Whoa.
I was 50 years on St. Patrick's Day. John and I were married on St. Patrick's weekend, 1969.
Whoa. That's amazing.
Oh, here's what we're looking for now.
And what changes have you seen in the town since then? How is it?
Oh, it was wonderful one time, but not now.
Oh,
But
you.
the town has gone completely now.
Oh.
When I came to our shops, the full length of the street,
Yeah.
plus a beautiful hotel in the centre,
Mm.
and all those places were open all around there.
Mm.
It's all gone now.
Yeah.
And shops over there, up there.
They open and then they close a few months later.
Yeah, Roscrea went down.
Yeah, because the bypass came in as well, and the motorway. Yeah, people stopped coming in.
And the hotel was a great loss. I think the hotel up there's a great loss in town.
You were saying your father in the hotel, yeah?
Yeah, no, my father was a photographer in Portlaoise, of all places. That's where I'm from originally. And he was a photographer from 1945 until his death in 77. He quite young when he died. So we had started here and we immediately wanted to specialise in portraits and weddings. And now we're specialised mostly in portraits. It's a different kind of business. It has a different kind of time scale and scheduling, whereas weddings can tie open knots for years ahead. We don't. That doesn't happen with portraits. We can chop and change our appointments. So as you can see from the walls here, we do a lot of children's portraits, families, teens in between. We work indoors or outdoors, and we quite enjoy it.
Well, I was born in 1936 and I went to the same school as Liam.
We all went to the same school, so.
And when I left school at 14, I went to work at Mount St. Joseph's. And I spent 3 years at Mount St. Joseph's. And then I went to work in Antigen. And I worked in Antigen from 1955 to 2001. I was a tablet maker. And my first wage in Mount St. Joseph's was £2 a week. And then after leaving that, I went into Antigen. And I got £5 a week for a 54-hour week. So it's a big improvement in my earnings. And I had there was good times in Antigen. There was great employment in it. When I was in it, there was 350 in it at one stage. And it was very good, and I very enjoyed it. And we had a good social club in Nantwich. And we used to have good outings, and things were good. But
That was his brother's
yeah,
children.
yeah.
And that's Pat and I that worked with me years ago.
Wow.
Eventually I got married again, 5 years after. And then Tom came in and he put the place booming all together. He got a new front in, took out her old front and all and put a new front into it. And I'm so lucky his family are so kind to me. My step family. And then we had great years for all those years. And Tom died 14 years ago. So then I had to let it all run down. The staff went and I just let it go down to what I could handle myself. And that's where I am today now.
Well, the biggest changes are the number of shops we don't have anymore that we used to, and pubs. So that has certainly changed. The hotel is now closed, has been for the last 6 years. The change in population is different. We have more foreign people working here than we used to. When we started here first, it was 100% employment in Roscrea. There was nobody out of work. We had the bacon factory, meat factory, antigen, pharmaceuticals, and the ribbon factory. So between all of them, they were hiring and working with about 1,500 people approximately.
My father was a pharmacist, a chemist, and on the street here. It's now the Polish shop. And I was born overhead and reared. But he was, every Thursday that time, there was a mart, farmers selling cattle and that.
Yeah.
And he'd go out and chat to them. My father would walk out through the shop and chat to the farmers, you know. And he discovered that every farmer had to have a little booklet. Because if he sold a calf or whatever it was, he'd have to give a receipt.
Yeah.
And that prompted him to look into that. And that's printing. And out of that humble notion, he took a fellow out of the tech, Tony Robinson.
Very good.
And one summer, and started down here. And he knew nothing about it, and Tony Robinson knew nothing about it. But it just got going.
The idea just grew.
It grew, and then yes, and I was lucky enough to go to Manchester University to do printing technology for a couple of years. So we gradually plodded on, and we got bigger machines, but the likes of antigen now would become, you know, they'd be looking for 10 orders every day nearly, you know.
Yeah.
So that was great. Philip just meant that we were making money from very early on. And of course, another big popular thing was the films, because every week the posters had to change. You know? So we were printing posters for the films every week as well. And other factories came along, and we gradually got going. And we're at it still, for better or worse. We're struggling a bit. We've kept up to date with technology. I mean, technology has changed. The stuff that I was using when I started, and the lads are using, we still have them, and we still use that system for certain things. But now it's all electronics and everything like that, which is great as well. But we're well into that as well.
So how have you seen the town change over the years?
Oh, massively, massively. We were probably one of the busiest towns all through the 60s, 70s, factories everywhere. And we've lost a lot of them now. But it's still a good place to live. It's still a great place to live, you know. There's a great community spirit around the town. And everyone pitches in, you know, something happens. Everyone sort of pulls together, so it's a good place to live still. We could do with a bit more employment, but other than that, it's a good place to live.
Well, of course, I'm very aware of working possibilities in the town, because we lost so many of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how we're still here, because all our top customers disappeared. The biggest one was Antigen.
Yeah.
Employed hundreds of people, and it's a pharmaceutical business, and everything had to be perfect and consequently very expensive. So we did very well. And then we had the ribbon factory.
Ribbon factory too.
Yeah, another. I mean, so they're all gone.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know where people are working. I have a feeling our bag factory is nearly one of the biggest employers now, which is kind of ridiculous out of a small business,
town,
you know. But sure, as long as there's something there, but it's very sad.
Yeah, because I was talking to my granny actually yesterday before, and I was telling her I was doing this weekend, and she was telling me that there was a brewery actually in Roscrea years ago. I didn't even you're going back now. A nice
where
bit.
was that now?
God, I can't remember what she said it to me, but
It would have been something to do with the Racket Hall.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
and you had a baker. There still is a bakery in town, isn't there?
Well, there's a company that makes bread now, which isn't quite the same thing, but I mean they employ a good few people.
Yeah.
I can't remember their name.
There's what was it? There was a cinema here in the 80s as well.
Oh, there was, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was very important. It was up. You go down Castle Street.
Yeah.
And straight through and up on the right.
Yeah.
It was just in along there.
What about the heritage sites in the town? Do they bring in many tourists? Or?
They do, don't they, Brian?
Yeah, you'd often have, you know, the likes, as Tommy was saying earlier on, the likes of Left Castle. There's lots of Americans tourists who come in to see the Left Castle. There's Monahinch Abbey, the monasteries, the Sturgeon College. Even students are actually are boarding out there. The families would often come in and for dinner or whatever on the weekends and stuff like that. So.
What's huge as well, a lot of people look to come because they have a choice of 3 or 4 castles. So let's say when they stay in this area, we've got Roscrea Castle, we've got the Leck Castle, Ballochmore Castle is only a couple of miles out the road, which is fantastic, and they even travel over to Burr Castle, so within about 10 or 12 minutes.
A lot of castles around actually, yeah.
It's fabulous.
A lot of history there, yeah.
Yeah, and Kinnity Castle. So.
And Kinnity as well, actually, if you add on another couple of kilometres, you got Kinnity, so it's like, and even you can still go further apart, you got Nina or whatever, but it's been fantastic that there's so many. So within a 20-minute radius, there's huge history here.
Yeah, that's amazing. So has much changed since you came to the town? You noticed much?
Lot has changed since we came now. We would notice it where there's been many changes right from, I suppose the biggest one was the bypass with all the traffic being moved outside of the town. It's changed the town in many ways, that people are now coming into the town to see Roscrea for all its hidden jewels and for all its assets. So people love coming in because they can get a real feel of a good Irish town.
How are you? You got here okay?
Yeah.
Your guests are with you?
Yeah, my friends, they're sitting in the car, but
Christy Mars was a great meeting place as well.
That was down Castle Street, wasn't it?
Just opposite the hotel.
Hotel, yeah.
And that's closed up for many years as well. That was a very popular adult drinking place. You know, Christy himself was a great character. So
I do often see videos actually popping up on Facebook. Tom Stapleton would share of like people just having sing songs from like years ago in that pub.
Yeah,
it'd be really cool.
Well, Christy was unique as a public, and he was really a most entertaining fellow. And the Lions Club did all their business in there.
Yeah.
It had to be beside a pub, or in a pub if it all possible.
That has changed there, really.
I remember one night we had a meeting, it went on a bit, and we used to have a meeting in beside the actual pub. There was just a room, and this night it ran on a little bit. Anyway, we decided better go home, opened the door, and there was a guard outside.
Oh yeah?
And he took all our names for late night drinking. And we were supposed to be pillars of the town, you know.
What time would that have been?
That would have been, what time of night?
What time of night would that have
well,
been?
it could have been 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
Certainly could have been 11.
Because I've never heard of that. Like around town now, we say a guard stopping anybody for.
No, it's died out actually.
For drinking around that time.
Yeah. That was common enough. I mean, and then if you're unfortunate, you'd have to go to jail. Not to jail, but you had to go to the court.
Yeah.
And apologise to the judge.
Yeah, because like usually on a Saturday night or whatever in town now, like the parties usually starting to get going at 12 o'clock.
Yeah. I remember the guard was in that night. He was young and new to the place, so we had a bit of an effort to convince him that who he was dealing with, very important people.
Well, I suppose when I retired, life goes on, but one thing is a must, and I suppose it goes back to my mother's time here. was you get the daily paper. And that is my drug every day. I don't mind doing without my dinner, but I will not miss the daily newspaper. And if you ever hear he's not reading his paper, then you can say its time is up, he's on his way out kind of thing, because paper is must. So I would go in every morning to collect the paper, and then Paddy Bergen, who his wife passed away and that, and we were always fairly friendly and that, and so it happened one morning, he said, "Come on, we'll have a cup of coffee." And out of that then it grew. Richard Kelly, who worked in the shop with me, he came in and he started to join us. And then a man I'm sorry you didn't meet, the late Kieran McNicholas, who was, I suppose, like myself, if he didn't know it, I knew it kind of thing. And he joined us, and he unfortunately passed away very suddenly about 2 years ago, but he was a mine of information. And he did a lot of photography and that. And as I say, his photograph is inside in the restaurant. And I'm just sorry you didn't meet him, because he was a legend in his own way. And then this gentleman here joined us, like, you know, and there's a couple of ladies come now and again as well, like, you know, and so it was not a civilised conversation, it'll be a row. But
a row, we tell lies, we have to keep talking.
But we keep going anyway, and as you know, there was the programme on the BBC years ago, The Last of the Summer Wine. It was about a group of old lads that used to meet every day, and they used to growl and crib and the lot, like, as well. And so that's how the name The Last of the Summer Wine group came, like, you know.
I'd rather say happy than great. Yeah, you know. And like where you're happy is where